It's the Midnight Trucking Radio Network. Eric Harley here, Mid-America Trucking Show. And our special guest right now is Sammy Kershaw. Sammy, how are you?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm doing great. Let's catch up with Sammy Kershaw, first of all. What have you been up to lately?
Well, I got a brand new album that'll be out in a couple of months. And I got a brand new single out of radio now that just went to radio a couple of 3 weeks ago. And it's the first new music I've had in probably 4 years.
Wow.
So,
well, first of all, let's start with the single. Tell us about the single. Tell us about the music behind the album.
Well, the thing about it was I kind of got to the point, and I think a lot of singers, it happens to a lot of singers in their careers where you get to a point where you're starting to think that people might not want to hear your music anymore, and the radio might not play your music anymore.
Yeah.
And I got to that point, And so I wasn't interested in making any new music.
Right.
I kept on touring. The boys and I were still on the road all year long, every year, but I just wasn't interested in new music.
Yeah.
And one Saturday morning, I'm sitting there on the bus, and I was listening to the radio, and an old song came on by Johnny Paycheck called "Old Violin."
Yeah.
And that was exactly how I was feeling, like an old violin fixing to be put away and never played again. You know? And then the last line of the song came on and said, "We'll give our all to music, and we'll give our life."
Yeah.
And at that moment, it took me back to when I was 12 years old, singing my first country song in bar rooms,
Wow.
And it's 40 years last month I've been doing this in this business.
Wow.
And when I heard that line, it just kind of changed the way I thought about everything. And I said, I got to thinking to myself, maybe people won't want to hear my music anymore. Radio won't play me, but I got to do some new music for me.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
But it's interesting to get to a point in your life where you realize this is me, this is what I love, this is what I know to do, and I'm going to do it the way I think it should be done. And you and I were talking off the air before this interview about what's going on with country music today. You've always been honest about it. There seems to be plenty of folks out there that are willing to compromise country music in order to get heard on the radio, and then there are those like yourself and others who insist on staying with the roots.
I have to
staying with your inspirations.
That's what brought me to the dance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's in my heart and soul. That's what I do.
Yeah.
It's country music. Of course, I can't blame. I say blame. I can't knock anybody for having success with what they do.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit different from what I do.
Yeah.
And it don't necessarily mean that I have to start trying to do what they do to get some success at radio.
Sure.
I need to not worry about anybody else. I need to worry about me.
Yeah.
And what I record. And I can tell you now that my equation has always been the same since day one.
Yeah.
If I haven't lived the song, I won't record it.
Yeah.
No matter, it doesn't matter if I know it's going to be a hit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about that.
Right.
If I haven't lived the song, I won't cut it. And that's what I've stuck with all my career.
Yeah, and that's interesting because you hear that in the music. When we listen to your music, we get that. We know that it's genuine. It's heartfelt.
Thank you.
It's the same as when George Jones would sing. It's the same as when Hank would sing. You felt that emotion.
It's called country soul.
Exactly. It really is.
I've lived all them stories. But like I said a minute ago, I started this when I was 12 years old, playing in bar rooms, singing my first song. And so I've lived the life of a 100-year-old.
Yeah.
So there's not very many songs that I haven't lived,
in
this life.
Yeah, it's interesting because there is that connection and that parallel with the trucking industry as we sit here at the Mid-America Trucking Show.
Yeah.
Drivers out there, the veteran drivers that have been doing it, do it because they love it. Somebody that they loved taught them how to drive. And they have a real love for this industry and for that job out there. And then others get into it, and it's just kind of a job, and they kind of go through their paces. Again, not knocking anybody. It's just that we all have our different influences along the way.
That's right.
Today we have in music, we have everything from, of course, up-and-coming artists, but we seem to have a lot of these television shows that bring people to the surface fairly quickly. Some of those people are very talented, but they don't have 40 years out there on the road. They don't have 40 years of playing honky tonks. They don't have that kind
No.
of experience that, again, you insist on having with a song.
Well, you know, it was just like the other day. Some radio station around the country, I'm not going to tell you who it was, but it's he came out and told the record promoter. He said, I think I'll mention the artist. He said, I think Joe Nichols would have sounded better doing this song.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
because Sammy Kershaw's too old. Well, you know, my response was, is you have to be this old to be able to
You're
sing
gonna
this
have
song.
to be able to sing it.
And if you haven't lived it, you can't sing it.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah. yeah.
So you know, it's to each his own, and
Sure.
I just do what I do. I love what I do, and I'm gonna just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, happens, and like I said, I won't get into that. I won't get into that mindset anymore about whether radio's going to play me or people are going to listen to me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to keep remembering that why I got in this when I was a little bitty boy.
Yeah.
And that I got to keep doing new music for me.
Yeah.
You
sure.
know.